What's going on, everybody? Today we're going to review the Vinland Saga Deluxe Edition Volume 2. I want to give a shout out to Curstone7939. He said, please continue releasing videos for each volume because I can't find any other YouTuber doing a review for volumes after one. This one's for you. I do plan on continuing these read-throughs the same way that I did the Berserk Deluxe Editions, and it makes it easy because I really dug this volume. It was so good. This video is going to contain some spoilers, so this is going to be for people who've already read it or watched the anime. Maybe they just want to see my thoughts. If you haven't read it, it can give you a gist of it. Maybe you'll dip out before there's any big spoilers, but we're going to go through this entire volume. It is amazing. Let's jump into it. All right, so a quick look at the book itself before we jump into the story. Vinland Saga Deluxe. Book 2, you got the nice calligraphy. You've got the words up top. I got a little bit of a ding right here. No big deal. Here we have the spine, Vinland Saga. And the back here, what is this retail? $55 USD. I like this kind of embossed, embedded crest here. Makoto Yukimura. Here we have a little map. Then we have a little bit of color that we get in these mangas. So you have Thor, Finn versus Thorkel. Awesome battle. Table of contents. The troll's son, the troll being Thorfinn's father, ends with chapter 42. So 20 chapters in this book. I'm going to mispronounce his name. Ragnar with Prince Canute. So this ends up being a pivotal part of this deluxe edition. The character development here, so good. All right, so we open up where we were, ending with the first deluxe edition. Prince Canute, Ragnar, and the priest, they are with Askeladd and Thorfinn, and they're trying to outrun Thorkel, who is on their tail. They want the prince. The prince is basically this bargaining chip that everybody's trying to use and capture. Now, I'm trying to remember, is this where we first see the prince? There's a little bit of his blending in with the first volume, but the prince is not what you would think. He's very fragile. He's kind of effeminate, if you will. He gives me like the Griffith vibes, kind of. Like when I first saw the prince, I was like, is this a girl? Is it secretly a princess? Anyway, Thorfinn. So many badass scenes with Thorfinn throughout this volume. The art is beautiful. I'm sure we'll get to it. Thorkel, as we recall from the last volume, lost 2 of his fingers to Thorfinn. He underestimated him, and it cost him his fingers, but he is a warrior. He lives for the fight. No big deal. We'll see a big fight between them later on here in the volume. All right, so let's just move forward a little bit. Yeah, so here is where Askeladd sees who the prince really is, and they are kind of surprised. Yeah, are you sure they didn't mean princess? Yeah, so this is when they first all see Prince Canute, and Thorfinn delivered him to Askeladd, who is not his boss or his master. He's really just tagging along to get his duel so he can kill Askeladd for killing his father Thor's. All right, so they are on the run. You've got the ear to Askeladd, who can hear an army's footsteps, and that's pretty cool. This book is not supernatural like how Berserk is, but there are a couple of little things that are a little exaggerated or extraordinary, where he has the hearing or even the fighting between Thorfinn and Thorkel, and those types of more than human attributes that they might have. So that's pretty cool. So this is a lot of traveling through the forest, escaping Thorkel, trying to lose his trail, and all the while, the loyalty from Askeladd's men is starting to falter just a little bit. He's asking a lot of them, a lot of marching nonstop, and that's going to come to bite him a little bit later on in this deluxe edition, pushing his men too hard, traveling through the mud, through the forest, crossing these rivers. And eventually we're going to get into some cold weather as well. Ragnar. So I'm not sure if I said his name right or not, but Ragnar is the person, kind of like the personal bodyguard to this Prince Canute, who really, what we find out, coddled him, didn't treat him as a prince in training, a future king. He treated him like a farmer's son with love and compassion, and that's kind of how he ended up here. The prince can't even speak aloud to anybody but Ragnar. As you can see right here, he refuses to speak up. And he's the same age as Thorfinn, so Thorfinn looks down on him like, yo, what is wrong with this guy, man? Grow a pair, basically. So kind of just another scene A lot of traveling throughout this volume. Again, basically trying to lose Thorkel and his army of, 500 men. Now, this is like an old wise man, a priest that's traveling with Prince Canute. He seems a little bit crazy, but he actually opens up Prince Canute's eyes. We see this parallel between Thorfinn's father, Thor's. We get a flashback scene to that, and Prince Canute on kind of like escaping the Matrix in a way, really trying to question like the whole thought of what is love. Is it silver, gold, horses and women? All that stuff's worthless. What does it truly mean to be in love? And they give us the answer later on in this book, and it's almost the same answer as what we see in the flashback with Thor's and Thorkel on what makes a true warrior. So interesting stuff here with that. We'll get to that in just a moment. Let's skip forward a little bit. So here's a flashback to Ragnar and Prince Canute and how he was raised and how he treated him. And then here we get into some beautiful art. It gets a little violent. Horses getting shot with arrows, knocking Askeladd off of the horse. And they just really go out of their way to show you like how scared that this Prince Canute is. And it really pays off later on in this volume. He's literally shivering. He only speaks to Ragnar and whispers, and he's always hiding behind him. Now, they do show that he did have a traumatic childhood. The royal family is a treacherous nest of vipers. Do you have any idea how hard it was for a sickly boy to survive in their midst? We also learn of the true nature of the prince. So his father, the king, had 2 sons. His brother is in line for the king. So his whole life has been raised as a backup, just in case something happens. And he was sent on this whole expedition to where he got captured purposely by his father to get killed in battle. The father doesn't love him. Part of the revelation that really awakens Prince Canute that we'll see later on. Here's Thorfinn, pathetic. You're really my age? Like, he can't believe that this guy has been so coddled and has led such a comfy life, at least in his eyes. Here's where we learn a little bit more about Askeladd. So he has kind of this dual lineage. He's mixed. He's a descendant of the great Arteris. So he actually is part Wales and half Nordic. So the people he's running with are the Nordic, and he's going through Wales, and he has ties to both. And we kind of learn a little bit more of his true nature and how he doesn't really rock with the Nordic that much. He really despises them, which again will come to play later on at the end of this deluxe edition. Yeah, here he goes right here. I despise the Danes. So this is where we kind of find out his true nature, and he's really a selfish guy, Askeladd. He's all about himself. Again, to refresh, he is the one that killed Thorfinn's father, Thor's, and that's why Thorfinn is hanging around, wants to kill him. He's a very skilled warrior, though, man. He's not easily defeated because Thorfinn is skilled as well and hasn't been able to beat him yet. So one of the first times you really see Prince Canute speak to someone else other than Ragnar is him yelling at Thorfinn. But that's not really the wide awakening. That'll come later. All right, so here we're introduced to this young girl, Anne. So this story was kind of interesting. This is before her village gets totally decimated. She recently stole this ring, and there's this religious kind of morality that she's battling with here on did she do the right thing, questions God, and if what she did is going to make her go to hell, and just having this moral battle. Goes back to her village, seeing that the whole village has been destroyed and pillaged by Askeladd and his crew. They go to this village, they find it in the snow, and they basically just kill everybody in order to hunker down there, use their shelter, use their food. And it's kind of this very traumatic scene that Anne witnesses from the end here. But what's interesting is how she reacts to what she witnessed. Her whole village, all of her family being murdered. It changes her, but not really in the way that you would think. It makes her feel excited the same way that she felt when she stole the ring. So this is something that was like interesting seed that's been planted here. We don't really see it grow to fruition in this deluxe edition, but I'm assuming something happens with her later on in the story. See, her heart was racing the way it did when she stole the ring. So she's kind of attracted to the chaos, it seems. So that's going to be kind of an interesting thing. After each, I guess this would be volume, originally published in like the soft cover, but they have like this kind of funny Viking girl Ylva thing and Thorfinn's travels, where he's been so far throughout Europe. And then here's one of the afterwards by Makoto Yukimura. So these are kind of fun to read. This one was interesting about mothers and how men are stupid, just wanting to go to war and kill each other, how mothers sacrifice everything to raise and grow their sons just so they can go out to battle to get killed. So kind of an interesting take from the creator. Part 5, so this is the next volume. We get a little bit of color. Then we get father and son. So where are we here? We're in the year 1013, man. So about 1,000 years ago. Checking in on Thorkill and his crew. Thorkill just longing for battle, and they find her in the snow. Back to the ear. A little bit harder for him to hear with all the snow muffling the sound everywhere. But trying to get a bead on where Askeladd and the prince are, which now we're flashing to over here. So Prince Canute, him talking with the priest. Again, this is all part of his big awakening. You start to see him speak out a little bit more confident, speaking a little bit more like a king. That all kind of leads up to his big awakening, like I said. Thorfinn here with his throwing blades. Again, the art is beautiful throughout this. This is kind of interesting, too. So you have Thorfinn hunting down his own rabbit. He's used to just eating the rabbit straight up, but he's introduced into making stew, and you could kind of see that he's never really eaten this way before. It's always kind of nice to get a little bit more character development and growth. All right, let's take a quick break before we go any further. If you're looking to purchase any deluxe editions, whether it's manga or comic books, omnibus, absolutes, check out organicpricebooks.com. They have them heavily discounted, great packaging with fast shipping. Plus, you can save $2 on every order by using code GemMint at checkout. And if you're overseas, if you're in the land where this book takes place, check out comicsbugle.com. Free shipping, no tax, and no import fees if you're within the EU. They're also discounted upon release, and you can still save an additional $2 by using that same code GemMint at checkout. All right, so we're going to head into like a big spoiler here. So Ragnar, very upset that Askeladd wants to go deeper into enemy territory. They're trying to cut through to escape Thorkill, right? So he wants to speak with Askeladd immediately. He goes out to confront him, but Ragnar is stabbed in the back here by the ear himself. This is kind of pivotal for Prince Canute, as you can imagine. This is like his father figure, and he dies at the hands of Askeladd, which we don't know yet what happens. We don't know, or the prince doesn't know who has killed Ragnar at this point. Here's the prince here. He even kind of wears his hair like a girl, like the ponytail bangs with the sideburns combo going on here. So Ragnar is just asking for Askeladd to look after the prince. Here we find out about the death of Ragnar. So obviously affects the prince in a very strong way. Basically passes out here. Now Askeladd has one of the enemies captured, and get a nice little torture scene going on here, so we can see like the true nature of Askeladd. He's a cold dude, man. Got the owl with an eyeball. Really torturing the hell out of this guy. All right, but Thorkill is hot on their trail. So again, they're hunkering down in that village that they pillaged, and now they're forced to leave because Thorkill is hot on their trails. Again, pushing his crew harder than he probably should. Now they got to pick up. Everybody's tired. It's freezing cold outside, but they got to get up out of there. And all this is kind of building up into what we'll see at the end of this. So actually, we start losing men here. Askeladd, a couple of his men stay behind. They want to join Thorkill. He comes through, and this is a little bit more of like a supernatural take, right? The way he just slices everybody up. This is where Thorkill first figures out who the leader of that band is, Askeladd. So he's not taking any prisoners, killing people in his way. He's not going to let any traitors join his crew. So Bjorn is Askeladd's right-hand man. He's very loyal. But now we start to see other members of the crew plotting to overthrow Askeladd, to kill Askeladd, and potentially join Thorkill. I guess they don't realize what happened to the people that have been left behind. But here we are. I found you. Heaves this huge spear, killing a few of the guys on the way. And at this point, you have Thorfinn, Prince Canute, Bjorn, and the priest. They've gone ahead. They're ahead of Askeladd and the rest of the crew. Askeladd and them are just trying to buy some time. Hey, we're going to cross this bridge with our sleds, knock down the bridge so that it's harder for them to follow. Askeladd, again, he is a force to be reckoned with. Some of his crew doubts him. Off with their heads, both of them at the same time. Look at this. All right, so they're being attacked here. Calls in Thorfinn. He's got his throwing knives. Oh, actually, I was a little bit ahead of myself. So this is where Thorfinn, he takes the prince and moves on ahead a little bit while the rest of the crew tries to destroy the bridge and prevent Thorkel from coming over, because they can easily cross and wade through the water, but all of their supplies, all their food, they won't be able to get it across with the sled, and without that, they'll only be good for about a day or so. So they're trying to lose Thorkel and them. Here's Bjorn, pops the magic mushroom to go berserker, I guess. All right, so this was really cool, man. So again, little hints of supernatural stuff. Askeladd gets hit in the back with an axe. He gets upset, and he straight Kung Lao Mortal Kombat 2's this guy with an axe, to where other people surrounding him are saying, you can't even do that with an axe. Like, how did he do that and cut this guy in half? So that was pretty cool. So little touches of that. Not too much supernatural, but there's still some cool stuff like that, especially with the action. So here we go. Thorkel, he catches up to another large group of Askeladd's men who drop all of their weapons in the snow. They're trying to join Thorkel's side, but he doesn't want to hear it. You can kill all of them except for Askeladd. Yeah, so that's right. He catches up to them. They have Askeladd. He kills all of the rest of his men, and that's what's going to drive Thorfinn back, because remember, nobody's going to kill Askeladd but Thorfinn. He's got to get the revenge for his father. I like this one too. So he convinces him, hey, pick up your weapon, die like a warrior. That's the only way you're going to Valhalla. And I love how this guy is so scared that this is how he sees Thorkel, like this beast. And he actually loses his mind here. You can see right here, dunk, dunk, dunk. This guy is gone. But then Thorfinn is back. Thorkel is very excited. It's the rematch that he's been waiting for. Here goes with a feet uppercut to Thorfinn on his horse, and boom, knocks him off of the horse. And we get this amazing battle between Thorkel and Thorfinn, and we also learn more about how they're connected. So that's what we're going to end up seeing here. Here's the end of that volume. Again, you get the kind of funny thing, bonus manga. This is kind of just retelling quickly what we just saw. An afterword from Makoto. Thorfinn's travels once again. Then we're at part 6. The last part is incredible. This is a great volume. These deluxe editions collect 3 volumes, which have multiple chapters. The last volume is incredible. It shows Thorfinn's strategy on fighting Thorkel. He can see the blows coming. As long as he can see them and he can dodge them, then Thorkel might as well be unarmed, because he's not able to touch him, and he's just going to want to slash at him here and there, going after his ligaments. So that's his strategy, and all of Thorkel's men see this fight. They're like, hold on. This little kid is actually pretty good, man. So Thorkel's trying to talk to him while they're fighting, and we find out that Thorkel is actually his great uncle. So he is Thor's uncle. Thor's father is Thorkel's brother. So that's like the lineage here. So that's what we find out. And then that's when we're going to get a flashback to Thorkel and Thor's. And we learn a little bit more about Thor's, which is cool. So we'll get to that in just a moment here. This is just Prince Canute sees Ragnar in a dream. This is where we learn, again, kind of how he was raised and how he wasn't raised to be a prince or a king. And really, he was never going to be king unless something happened to his brother. But his brother is more prepared to be the king anyway. As you can see, Canute is very coddled. All right, then we're back to the fighting. Oh, here we go. So I think this is where we get the awakening from Prince Canute. Death is the key to everything. Death is really what opens up Prince Canute's eyes as to what's important in the world. After the battle, we see the spoils taking off gloves and boots off of dead bodies. Back to the fight with Thorfinn and Thorkel. Thorfinn realizes he's not really doing much damage. He's not really getting his ligaments. He's got chainmail under his coat. Really, Thorkel's just upset that he's messing up his new coat, rips it off, exposes the chainmail. During this fight, we were getting the back and forth, and that's when he learns a little bit more about his father. And then here goes the question, what makes a true warrior? This one hits really hard, and it's what changed Thor's, causing him to leave his way of life. We'll get to that in just a moment. So a lot of great scenes with the battle between them. Very cool, actually. Kicks him. He uses his kick to like kind of put his feet on it and press off and launch up. So that's why he gets thrown up in the air like this. Comes down on trees. Ends up like dislocating his shoulder and puts him out of the battle. But this is part of Prince Canut's awakening, talking to the holy man here, and he's starting to understand like the whole kind of circle of life thing, like how death, going back to the earth, this whole discrimination. But this conversation, this revelation is what changes Prince Canut. He's no longer afraid. I think that's the biggest thing. He's no longer afraid of death. He's no longer afraid of confrontation, and he starts moving and acting like a king. And we're going to see that here just a moment towards the end. Back to Thorfinn after being launched up in the air, knocked down. Look at the violence here. So this guy's getting punched in the face brutally. Who is this? Bjorn on that magic mushroom? Berserker mode, I think. Yeah, exactly. He's berserker mode out of his mind, so he doesn't even know what's going on right now after eating that mushroom. So he's actually on a rampage, runs up on the holy man, the priest, with Prince Canut, and this is where we see Prince Canut, enough. I'm sick of this. Facing Bjorn, who's out of his mind, and comes at him with no fear. Look, this is not the Prince Canut that we saw in the beginning of this deluxe edition. He stands up to this Bjorn on mushrooms, touches his face, brings him back. Kind of a little bit of supernatural, very Griffith-y, it feels like. Shows him compassion, brings him back to the world of the living. We see a new Prince Canut here. No meaning to this battle. So he's going to now go ahead and confront Thorkel and find him fighting Thorfinn in this battle. So he's in no shape to battle. He's got dislocated elbow. They're able to put it back into the socket. Asklad is fighting his wounds. What's happening here, I didn't mention before, Thorfinn is fighting Thorkel for the rights to Asklad. If Thorkel wins, he's going to kill Asklad, but we know that's Thorfinn's entire motivation for everything. So he's fighting to save Asklad so he can kill him. And then he feels some type of way when Asklad is tending to his wounds because he's responsible for killing his father. All right, so are we going to get the flashback yet? Yeah, I think we're going to get the flashback now. What happened? Legend of the Thors. Here's Thors, the troll, father of Thorfinn. He ends up faking his death because he gets awakened in a similar sense to how Prince Canut was just awakened. You know, we see that he has his girl who has his son, which I'm assuming is Thorfinn. And his eyes, you can see it in his eyes the same way with Prince Canut. Thorkel sees it. Now, this is like leaving a gang. You don't just leave the gang. It's against their laws. It's against their rules. But he comes back to tell his uncle that, hey, this isn't for me anymore. I'm done with the fighting. I'm done with this pointless life. I'm leaving. He found what it means to be a true warrior, and I don't know if they exactly say what it is here, but I guess having a family, protecting your family, raising your son, that kind of stuff is more important than fighting and raping and pillaging and getting drunk and all the whole life that they were living as these Vikings. So he has that fearless look in his eye. Thorkel still takes a big swing at him, and with no weapon, boom, straight anime style, parries it, knocks out Thorkel, and goes on his way. We see the relationship that Thorkel had with Thors and how that pertains to Thorfinn, still trying to fight even though he's got this arm in a cast. And then we have Prince Canut on his way to that very scene. This was kind of cool, like telling the story. Like this is Thor from Norse mythology. Kind of cool how they did that, and kind of insinuating that these characters like Thorkel are like channeling these deities. So here goes Prince Canute shows back up. These people are giving him shit like they were when he was kind of scared and fragile. But again, a different Prince Canute is here, and everybody can tell right away. And they kind of fall in line. Like he acts and speaks like a king. And these people start to see it and start to fall in line. All right, so now we got this fight is continuing with Thorkel and Thorfinn. He's dodging all of his moves. Comes up with a plan with Askeladd on how to defeat Thorkel. So he works together with his enemy, and they have this plan. The plan was you have to wait for Thorkel to come to you. You're slashing away at him. It's not really doing anything. And then, boom, once he's in position, Askeladd from the sidelines gets the glare in his eye. And Thorfinn does this little launch jump, kicks the shit out of him, boom, takes him down, essentially winning the battle. Takes his eye as well. Look at this, all the rage and emotion in this. There he goes, jumps on his face. He took his fingers in the first fight, and the next fight takes his left eye. So as Thorkel's men are trying to now jump, he's like, "You craven bastards! How dare you shame me like this?" Yeah, you're not here to save Thorkel. He lost fair and square. He almost rips off one of his own guys' head for trying to come to his aid and come to his rescue. But he, amidst defeat to Thorfinn, Askeladd is saved. Now he is back to Thorfinn's prey, if you will. And then Prince Canute shows up at this time, tells him, "Hey, this is a pointless battle. You guys need to stop." And then he then he explains to Thorkel why he's not the right bargaining chip anyway. That's when we learn about his father, the king, and his brother, who is in line to be the king. And Thorkel, he gets it. This is kind of all pointless, and gives up on his hunt for the prince, essentially. Talking about his father. His father doesn't love him. Therefore, he's not a good bargaining tool for Thorkel to get anything out of him. This is what he's explaining to him here. And that he essentially wants to take the fight to his father, kill his father, and he'll become king, and essentially talks Thorkel and his army of 500 to join him. So now everybody is joining Prince Canute. Thorkel tests him, kind of similar to him testing Thor's back in the day. He doesn't flinch, man. He's not scared. He has the same look in his eyes that Thor's had when he defied him back in the day. He sees the same look in his eye. Love that parallel. That was very cool. It's a really exciting ending. Like, I really cannot wait to read the 3rd deluxe edition now. Askeladd is watching all this go down. Like, what just happened? So Thorfinn defeats Thorkel. Prince Canute comes. Now he's talking the big game. And now everybody's going to join Prince Canute. And now they're all going to go after the king. King Sven. They're going to dethrone King Sven. He really just built an army. All these people were after him like he was some cowardly pawn that was easy to use as a bargaining chip. But now he's in the lead. So that was very cool how that ended. Again, you get the afterword, Thorfinn's travels. You get some translation notes here. But I really dug this, man. All right, guys, thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. Let me know what you thought about the Vinland Saga Deluxe Edition Volume 2. Are you watching this video having already read it or watched it? Is this your first time ever hearing about this part of the story? Do me a favor, sound off in the comments, but I appreciate you watching. Stay minty fresh. Until the next time, peace.